Very sad moment because I come here to Egypt this time to pay my last respects to one who was a friend for over 30 years and a loyal friend and ally of the United States for that period of time. However, I do appreciate the opportunity this visit provides to pay a tribute at this time to President Sadat, whose courage and statesmanship in many areas has, I think, been an example for leaders throughout the world. At a time when timidity and fear seem too often to plague leadership, his refusal to abandon a friend and to provide a haven for him for his last days was an inspiration for everybody.
Apparently the Shah says in his memoirs, to come out soon, that the West underestimated the impact of his fall, that they did not ever realize how important it would be to the West. Is that accurate?
Well, what has happened since the Shah left, of course, speaks more eloquently than any memoirs could really present. There's no question that the Shah leaving Iran is a tragedy, a personal tragedy for him, a tragedy for the people of Iran who now are suffering repression much greater than they had before, who have 4 million at least unemployed and runaway inflation, and under a government that is not really a government, it's really a mob. All these things have happened, but also it was, in addition to being a personal tragedy for the Shah, a tragedy for the people of Iran, it was certainly a tragedy for what we call the West, because what was leadership and stability in that part of the world is now replaced by instability.
Do you blame the current administration for not appreciating what the impact of this fall would be?
Well, without getting into specifics, I would say that the conduct of the current administration, insofar as the handling of the Shah and Iran and so forth, I think it's opened a very serious question. I know it was difficult, and I'm not questioning the motives of the administration. I'm sure they did not want the Shah to fall. But I think that the way that it was handled contributed to the Shah, this fall, the up and down the hill, one day saying they supported him, the next day leaking a story that they did not. And as a result, the forces which were anti-American, anti-West, of course, came into power. But beyond that, I think that the treatment of the Shah by the administration after he left was shameful. It is one of the black pages in American foreign policy history, and I think that President Sadat's guts in providing a home for the Shah for his last days at a time that the United States turned its back on one of its friends is an inspiration to us all.
Thank you.
Nixon, how do you see things becoming different when Mr. Reagan takes over as president?
Well, I realize that many here would be interested in my evaluation of the campaign, and I do have some thoughts about that. Obviously, I was very impressed by Governor Reagan while he was governor of California, and when he went on foreign missions for the administration, several while I was president. I think he handled himself extremely well at his convention. But beyond that, I think it's inappropriate to get into any what would be called political comments at a time that I'm here basically for a funeral. So I'll defer my comments on Governor Reagan until a later time. But I was incidentally glad to see that Governor Reagan had the courage to do something that the administration did not do, and that is whatever people may have thought of the Shah, whatever faults he had, and he was hard on himself when I saw him in Mexico. He didn't think, he realized he'd made mistakes, as we all do. But on the other hand,